Have you ever practiced a skill until it was just, absolutely perfect?
Oh, definitely. We all have.
Right, like maybe it's a massive presentation for work, or a really high stakes negotiation, or even just a sport you play on the weekends.
Yeah, you put in the hours.
Exactly. You drill it, you memorize it, you have it completely dialed in. But then you step into the actual moment, you feel the pressure of the audience or the opponent, and you just, well, completely fall apart.
It is such a universal human experience. You spend all those hours in preparation, and then, when the environment shifts from practice to reality, your body seemingly just forgets every piece of muscle memory you taught it.
Yeah, and we generally assume that means we just aren't good enough, or maybe we need to tear down our technique and start over from scratch. But today, we're doing a deep dive into a stack of sources that completely flips how we look at that problem.
It really does.
We're looking at the Get Ready to Hit system. It was created by these baseball professionals, Jason Bug and Jay Ward. And, on the surface, it's a baseball manual about hitting, but underneath that, it is just this incredible masterclass on the neuroscience of panic.
Yeah, the overarching mission here is to explore this concept they call practice to game transfer. We want to uncover why these hard earned skills just vanish under pressure.
Right.
Because the traditional assumption, from parents or coaches or even corporate managers, is that when performance drops in a live environment, the mechanics are broken or the person just lacks confidence.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because the research from Bug and Ward reveals something entirely different. The swing didn't fail because the technique was wrong. It failed because it didn't have enough time to show up.
Exactly. We blame our mechanics when we should be blaming the clock.
That is so wild to think about.
It really is. The entire dynamic of pressure, whether you're standing in a batter's box against a wild pitcher or walking into a boardroom with a hostile client, is often just a physical symptom of being late to your own process.
Right. And the sources lay out this fascinating chain reaction of panic that happens in the body the moment pressure hits.
Yeah, their whole hypothesis is built on observation. Players look totally different in games because the pressure and the uncertainty of a real opponent cause them to get ready later than they do in a relaxed practice setting.
So they just start late.
Exactly. And that late start kicks off the chain reaction. Pressure leads to uncertainty. Uncertainty causes you to hesitate, which leads to late readiness. And because you're ready late, you've severely reduced the time you have to actually execute.
And that triggers the panic, right?
Yes. That lack of time triggers physical panic in the nervous system. The panic forces your body to abandon its trained movements and execute what they call a survival swing.
A survival swing. Wow. So the hitter realizes the ball is suddenly, like, right on top of them. The brain just screams out an emergency signal, and the body defaults to whatever will intercept the ball fastest.
That's right. The back shoulder drops to try and, cheat the bat upward. They spin completely off the ball, losing their balance.
Oh, and their top hand takes over, right, like a catch-up hand.
Exactly. The top hand becomes a catch-up hand, forcing the barrel of the bat out and around, which creates this weak, rolled-over ground ball. So to a casual observer, it just looks like the player forgot how to swing.
But the hitter isn't consciously choosing to abandon their mechanics. Their body is just desperately trying to compensate for lost time.
Yeah, and there's this brilliant story in the sources about an older, highly trafficked batting cage facility.
Oh, I loved this part.
Right. So over the years, thousands of hitters passed through this place. The pitching machines held up perfectly. The heavy-duty netting never tore.
But the floor.
But the floor. The solid wood platform right under the hitter's feet wore completely out. Hitters were chronically late. They were constantly running out of time.
Room 100 times. But the pressure of the live audience makes you rush your opening statement.
Oh, absolutely.
Because you rushed, your breathing gets shallow, you run out of mental runway, your heart rate spikes, and you default to a survival mode of speaking. You start filling the air with ums and ahs, you forget your transitions, and you talk way too fast.
You didn't brain the time it needed to retrieve the information, which means the solution isn't to learn more words or, in the baseball context, to practice more swings.
Okay, so what is the solution then?
The mechanical solution in this system is rooted in a really simple philosophy. Adjust the start, not the mechanics. You have to fix what happens before the pitch is even released.
So you have to go back to go forward. As the pitcher is winding up, the hitter executes a slow, early move backward. They move their hands back, and the front knee tucks in to create this kickstand balance point.
Yes, the kickstand. You establish absolute stability before the chaos even starts, and that kickstand is what buys you the time.
Okay, that makes sense.
From that point of stability, your stride forward isn't this aggressive lunging attack. The forward movement is actually a timing device. They call it the ride or the glide.
The glide.
Yeah, your legs are absorbing and adjusting to the speed of the pitch while your body is already in smooth motion. You land softly, ball of the foot first, settling into the heel. The metaphor they use is stepping on eggs without cracking them.
Stepping on eggs. And I guess the purpose of stepping softly on those eggs is to keep your head perfectly still, right? Because if your front foot slams down hard, your head bounces.
Oh, exactly.
If your head bounces, your eyes bounce, and suddenly a smooth pitch looks like it's jumping all over the place. But, you know, I want to push back on the logic of the timing here, though.
Yeah, sure.
If a pitcher throws an absolute heater, say, like a 98-mile-per-hour fastball, intuition says the hitter just needs to swing faster to catch up to the increased speed.
Well, intuition is actually wrong in this case.
Yeah.
Timing is never about moving your hands faster. The physical execution of the swing stays exactly the same, whether the pitch is 70 miles per hour or 100 miles per hour.
Oh, really? The exact same swing.
The exact same swing. The only variable you ever adjust is when you start your process. If a faster pitch is coming, you don't swing harder. You initiate that early move back to the kickstand sooner. You shift your timeline.
Wow.
Jay Ward, one of the creators, describes the swing as a high-performance engine designed to run on exactly 8 quarts of oil.
Oh, the oil analogy, right. So when you start on time and glide smoothly into the pitch, the engine purrs. But when you're late, you realize you don't have enough time, so you try to muscle up and force a 9th quart of effort into the system.
Yeah, and overdue, basically.
And any mechanic will tell you if you overfill an engine with oil, it blows up 2 miles down the road.
The mechanics break down completely. The swing didn't blow up because the technique was flawed. It blew up because you tried to manufacture time through sheer force instead of just starting earlier.
But wait, I see a flaw in this early start idea. If I'm shifting my timeline and moving backward earlier, I'm basically guessing if I haven't clearly picked up the ball yet. Buying time doesn't help if you have blurry information, right?
That's a great point.
Like, an early start without clear vision just means you are early to make a mistake.
And that's why visual clarity is the only thing that makes the physical readiness possible. Vision creates time. The system highlights a massive visual error most hitters make. They look from the pitcher to the plate.
Okay, so they're looking at the whole scene.
Right. They take in the pitcher's entire body, the mound, the stadium backdrop.
Yeah.
The baseball is just this tiny object lost within that massive expanse of visual data. To combat this, hitters must zone in.
Zone in, meaning?
You start your visual focus at the back of home plate, and you narrow your tunnel of vision out toward the pitcher's release point. A small picture makes the ball big.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Because it's the exact same mechanism as a camera aperture.
Oh, yeah.
If you set your camera's autofocus to take in the entire background, the trees, the crowd, the subject flying toward the lens is going to be a blurry mess. The camera's processor just gets overwhelmed by useless data. You have to narrow the aperture to strictly the space where the action is happening. In a business context, it's like trying to process every single email, Slack message, and industry rumor during a crisis. You become overwhelmed and paralyzed. You have to narrow your aperture to the single data point that actually matters to your next decision.
That is a perfect analogy. And the system actually shares an incredible story of a hitter who had mastered this narrow aperture. During a night game, his teammates were in the dugout complaining about a terrible distraction out in center field.
Oh, the White House story.
Yeah, it was White House catching the stadium glare, making it almost impossible to see the pitcher's release. So they asked this hitter how he was managing to hit with that blinding White House out there. And the hitter genuinely looked confused and asked, "What White House?"
That is true flow state right there. The brain literally filters out irrelevant data when the aperture is that narrow. The background of the world just ceases to exist.
Totally. And this focused vision also strips away the myth of the pitcher's invincibility. The sources talk about the matchbox perspective.
The matchbox perspective.
Yeah. Standing at the plate, a pitcher on the mound looks really intimidating. But if you stand on the mound and look at home plate from 60 feet and 6 inches away, the plate looks the size of a matchbox.
It's tiny.
Right. And the legendary pitcher Dennis Martinez is cited in the text as proof of this. Even Martinez, on his absolute best day, couldn't perfectly hit a tiny spot on that matchbox every single time. Pitchers miss their spots constantly because their own bodies and timing betray them. hitters surrender their psychological advantage by giving pitchers too much credit.
You narrow your focus. Remember, the pitcher is just a flawed human trying to hit a matchbox, and focus strictly on the release point. But the sources do highlight a specific physiological trap that hitters fall into with their vision, though. They call it the same side secret.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is a massive visual and physiological trap. So when a right-handed batter faces a right-handed pitcher, or a lefty faces a lefty, it's called same-side pitching.
Right.
The conventional wisdom taught to hitters is to look at the outside part of the plate, to prepare to hit the ball the other way. But the human eye fundamentally disagrees with this approach.
How so?
When you look to the outside corner on a same-side pitch, your head turns slightly away from the pitcher. You fall into relying on your peripheral vision. And because of that angle, your brain misinterprets the depth. The pitcher's release point suddenly feels like it's starting behind your head.
Oh, wow. So you lose all depth perception.
Exactly.
The ball appears to jump at your face out of nowhere. You have no idea how fast it's moving or how far away it is. That triggers the uncertainty, which triggers the panic, which basically guarantees the survival swing.
You got it.
So the fix here isn't mechanical, it's entirely visual. You must shift your focus to the inside half of the plate. Looking inside pulls the release point out in front of you visually, instantly restoring your depth perception.
And you regain your timeline. You have a kickstand for an early start, a soft glide forward keeping the head still, and a laser-focused tunnel vision looking at the inside of the plate.
Okay, so the table is set.
Right. With time and vision secured, the body is finally free to execute the swing. And the philosophy here is really rigid. There's only one swing. You don't engineer 100 different swings for an inside fastball, an outside slider, or a changeup. You take one pass at the ball.
And the path of that single swing is critical, because a lot of Little League coaching emphasizes chopping down sharply, like an axe, to create backspin. But the Bug and Ward system completely rejects that.
Completely.
They describe the ideal bat path as a long U-shape. You can picture it like landing an airplane on a runway. A plane doesn't nosedive straight into the tarmac. It gradually descends, levels out, and rolls smoothly along the runway. The bat barrel does the exact same thing. It enters the hitting zone early, levels out, and stays completely flat for 2 to 5 feet through the zone.
And that flat runway creates a massive margin for error. If your timing is slightly early or slightly late, the bat is still occupying the same physical space as the ball.
Because it's on the runway.
Exactly. You become consistently dangerous rather than relying on perfect split-second luck. But to maintain that runway path, the mental focus has to remain dead simple. The author, Jason Bug, learned this as a young minor leaguer at spring training with the Braves, directly from Hall of Famer Willie Stargell.
Oh, this was such a cool story. Stargell had this habit of whittling wood while he evaluated players, right?
Yes, he did.
Bug describes watching Stargell take a solid block of wood and patiently carve it into an intricate little wooden cage with a loose wooden ball rattling around inside of it. Bug goes into the batting cage, gets frustrated, and hits 5 weak ground balls in a row. But Stargell doesn't offer a mechanical breakdown of Bug's elbows or hips. He just says, when you get back in there, I want you to see the inside part of the ball and try to hit it.
Yeah, and Bug gets back in, focuses strictly on the inside half of the physical baseball, and hits 5 perfect line drives in a row.
That's amazing.
Stargell tells him to treat his swing like a mechanic treats an engine. You don't take the whole engine apart at once. You fix one part, and if it works, you leave the rest alone. Focusing on the inside of the ball naturally fixes the bat path.
I do want to challenge one of the prevailing coaching cliches regarding that bat path, though. Every youth coach in America screams, "Stop rolling over," when a player hits a weak ground ball. They usually follow that up by tweaking the kid's grip or stance. Telling a hitter to stop rolling over is actually terrible advice, isn't it?
Oh, it's awful advice.
Yeah.
It completely misses the fundamental mechanics of human movement. You're supposed to roll your wrists over after contact.
Right.
It's a natural follow-through that protects your joints and ligaments from snapping. The problem is never the rollover itself. The problem is rolling over early, before the bat has traveled through the runway.
And the early rollover happens because the transfer of energy stopped. Think about swinging a heavy, wet mop. If you're rotating your body to swing that mop and your torso suddenly stops moving, the heavy end of the mop just flops over your hand.
Exactly. The energy has to go somewhere.
Right. If a hitter stops their head from moving forward during the glide, maybe they were told to stay back by a coach, their momentum dies. The body stops, The arms take over completely, the wrists snap over early, and the bat gets pulled around the ball instead of through it. By aiming for the inside half of the ball, like Stargell suggested, you naturally force your body to stay moving forward, keeping the bat on the runway and delaying that rollover until after contact.
It's brilliant. You master your time, hone your vision, land the airplane on the runway, and delay your rollover. You execute the perfect system.
Yeah.
But the ultimate test of this entire methodology, however, is mental.
Yeah.
Baseball, like much of life, is a game of failure. You can execute the system perfectly, strike the ball beautifully, and still make an out because the defender was standing in the right spot.
Which leads to the 2 for 52 trap. The author shares a very vulnerable story about the psychological devastation of outcome dependence. He was the minor league player of the month, hitting .370, feeling invincible. But over a 3-game stretch, he goes 0 for 11. 0 hits in 11 at-bats.
Right. But here's the key. Of those 11 at-bats, he hit the ball incredibly hard 7 or 8 times. He hit screaming line drives right at the defenders. His process was flawless. He was executing the system perfectly, but he was hitting into bad luck. And instead of recognizing that his underlying mechanics were sound, he focused entirely on the lack of results. He focused on the 0 in the box score.
We are so desperate for control that when we do everything right and still fail, we feel helpless. To regain a sense of agency, we start tinkering with things that aren't broken. He mentally declared himself to be in a slump, he panicked, abandoned the process that got him to .370, and changed his perfectly good swing.
And because he changed his mechanics based on a short-term failure, that 0 for 11 organically spiraled. Over the next month, he went 2 for 52. He created a catastrophic real slump out of a temporary statistical illusion. The system teaches a concept called the 7 out of 10 truth. If you get a good pitch, put a good swing on it, and hit the ball hard 7 out of 10 times, you are doing your job flawlessly.
Yeah.
Sometimes 4 of those fall in for hits, and you're an all-star. Sometimes only 3 fall in. That variance is just luck.
So, what does this all mean?
The defining lesson of the system is this. A player's job is never to get a hit. The outcome is not under your control. Your only job is to get a good pitch, put a good swing on it, and hit it hard. That is the absolute boundary of your control. We fall into this 2 for 52 trap constantly in the corporate world. You lead a massive project, you do the meticulous market research, build a phenomenal team, and launch a flawless product.
On the day of the launch, a major competitor drops a surprise announcement or macroeconomic conditions shift, and your product launch fails. Your process was perfect. You hit the ball hard, right at the defender. But because the result was a failure, the executive team panics. They fire the marketing department, overhaul the core strategy, and lose all their confidence. They tear apart a perfectly functioning swing and spiral the company into a slump of their own making, simply because they judged a flawless process by a short-term result.
It is a profound trap that destroys both athletes and professionals. And this brings the core philosophy of this entire deep dive full circle. Whether you're holding a baseball bat, delivering a keynote speech, or managing a corporate merger, confidence isn't a personality trait.
No.
You cannot magically summon it out of thin air by looking in a mirror.
According to this framework, confidence is simply the natural byproduct of being on time. If you fix the start, if you give yourself the mental and physical runway to see clearly, prepare early, and move smoothly, you give your natural, hard-earned abilities the time they actually need to show up. You stop trying to force that 9th quart of oil into the engine.
Exactly. We've seen how anxiety, panic, and mechanical breakdown in sports are often just physical symptoms of starting your preparation too late. So take a look at the structures of your own life. Consider the chronic anxieties or recurring moments of panic in your daily routine. How many of those stressors are secretly just a symptom of poor timing? Are you actually lacking confidence in your abilities, or are you simply running out of time?
It really changes how you view every high-pressure situation. Next time you feel that panic building, don't tear down your mechanics or doubt your expertise. Just give yourself the time to let your swing show up.
Thanks for listening to the Get Ready to Hit podcast. Visit getreadytohit.com for your free guide and additional baseball resources. Remember, if your mind can conceive it, your heart can believe it, and your hands will achieve it. No fear, no doubt, no glory.